My face currently feels like I've been run through by Tom Stewart.
Puts it to the top of the square. Oh, beautiful little fist in there by Dale. Crucial centimetre moments.
He definitely has a bit of the Belcho spirit, as I have a bit of the Belcho spirit.
Hello everyone and welcome to The Back Pocket, a podcast that currently has two coasts, but we will be opening up an exclusive spot for Rum'un once the Tasmania Football Club completely falls through. My name's Alastair, that's Jack. Welcome to our podcast.
I did say today that Rum'un can come live with us and keep Greg company during the day.
We do not have room for a 6 foot tall giant shaggy mascot, but it would be good content for the podcast.
We'll make it work. Yeah, it was a weird weekend of football. Almost like the only games that were good were the ones we didn't expect to be good.
It's reversies.
Brisbane Essendon was almost game of the round as a surprise. Essendon's VFL team kind of took it up to them. Didn't have the
They
legs.
keep doing that, Essendon. It's very odd.
Yeah. The Caddy arrival game seems to get a bit closer, and Caldwell is back. I think he took a couple of weeks to warm back into it, but he's back to his best. Collingwood Hawthorn was bad. It looked like the Hawks were kind of hanging on until half-time, and they just got blasted off the park. Was it 8 of the last 10 they'd beaten Collingwood at the MCG? That didn't hold up.
They're coming up against all their tests leading into the back half of the season and failing, so it's not great signs for Hawthorn. But
No. No Sicily or Watson tomorrow night now, which will be interesting. Freo Gold Coast was good. Freo won. Freo led almost all game except for a little bit in the third quarter when Gold Coast were up by like a point for a while. Great tackle and goal to seal it. Richmond were sick against GWS.
It does feel bad that they didn't get that result, but also
I'm happy for Callum Ward. I hope it's very unlikely we get a season out of him. He's already flying between Sydney and Melbourne to see his family. If anything, he moves on to a coaching role at a Victorian club next year, but his speech got him going. So, what else was that day? Sydney Adelaide. Oh boy, Sydney kicked the first goal. Adelaide kicked the next 12 goals.
Yeah, I remember walking out of my room and going, "Oh no, I've tipped Sydney."
No, I tipped Sydney. I tipped Sydney. I tipped Gold Coast. I tipped Hawthorn. I tipped Melbourne.
You want us to keep giving our tips on this podcast? It would have been a great thing for us to do last year when we smashed our competition.
Great last year.
We finished first and second. Yeah. This year, we are mid-table. We are not good. There's someone who's not tipping who we're closer to than someone who's at the top.
St Kilda, Melbourne need to stop selling home games to Alice.
Melbourne definitely need to stop doing that because they got pumped in this equivalent game last year.
They lost to GWS the year before as well. I think Melbourne were the better team for 3 quarters. They just couldn't kick. Like they
kicked like
6-2 first quarter, and then after that, Melbourne kicked 5 goals 19.
5-19
after quarter time. West Coast Geelong was a better game than expected for 2 out of 4 quarters, but it definitely had the feeling of like fourth gear.
Yeah, every time I watched, I was like, well, the margin will stay about 12 points, and then at the end, Geelong will kick 6 goals, and they did.
And that really was what it was. Like, first quarter, they probably should have been further up, and then they just kept West Coast like 1 to 2 goals away. Hoff proven to be multi-skilled, though, moving out of the back line to the midfield a couple of weeks in a row, doing kind of tagging jobs in there, really slowed Bailey Smith in the second half.
Yeah. Really slowed down a guy who ended on 38 disposals.
Well, I mean, he had 25 at half time. But yes. In news, Tassie in trouble.
Yeah, as we alluded to in the intro, there is some political unrest in Tasmania. It's like a Star Wars crawl. Due to the political unrest in the island state of Tasmania.
The Greens political party and the Labour political party have looked to unseat the man in charge of building the new Macquarie Point Stadium.
Somehow Stadium Chat has returned.
Just let them play at York Park. I don't understand.
I feel like this.
Look, I mean, we're very pro 18 teams saying the number,
yes,
but I'm also very pro Tasmania. But I don't, you know what I mean? It's very tricky for me. But
it's hard because I do not want to sit around with multiple buys each week and a ladder that doesn't make sense.
And then 10 games around is so many games.
And a compromised draft for 3 years, players being poached from clubs who probably don't need to be. there's so many things I don't like about bringing in a new club, but it's Tasmania.
They
They're the place
one.
that deserves it.
Yeah.
If we have Gold Coast, we should have Tasmania.
I saw a Freo fan being like, that's a real shame. I was really hoping West Coast would have to have a bad team and 3 compromised drafts, which made me laugh. But yeah, it's one where like, and that's part of the problem, right? Where the AFL isn't going to prioritise Tasmania in that way because they know they've got Tasmanians on side. Whereas like Gold Coast and Sydney, they were willing to make those sacrifices.
They're just taking the piss. They want the government to pay for shit, and the AFL should just be fronting up.
Absolutely. So that does suck. Speaking of Gold Coast, I did think that after Dimmer's crowd comments last week, 11,000 turning up to the Gold Coast, and in the last quarter, the Freo chant being very loud.
I do in Dimmer's defence, it was not great.
It wasn't great conditions, but
I would say
funny.
it's easier to get to the game in Melbourne than it is on the Gold Coast.
Docklands is a pain.
Yeah, but
Pain to get to. But yeah, I did think it was funny. And Fremantle maybe back, or Gold Coast maybe shaky, both. Freo have a really good run post-bye. They got the week off this week, and they got North, Bombers, Saints all in Perth, and then Swans, who look like a rabble away. They'd be banking surely 3, if not 4
You'd
of those.
hope. I'm already getting messages
But it's
saying
Freo,
Fragmental,
right? Like
so
it's yeah.
I'm booking that Saints game in.
That's
for
their
loss.
loss.
That's
Ross doing his putting on the sunglasses. He's like,
I got
the
this.
team I hate. I'm going to beat them. W fixture announced, and it's mostly fine, except like all the clubs and fans wanted double headers, and we didn't get them.
It seems weird, right? Because like allegedly, fixtures are made in combination with talking to the clubs, liaising with them, figuring out what they want, what works best from them. Why is there not a single double header if all of them want it?
Not one, yeah. And like even the players have come out post it being announced to me, like it's a real shame. But I guess that's what's happened. And related, Laura Kane, who oversaw the W and also many other things.
You're just doing all of my topics that I want to talk about later after votes. You're just
I'm
doing them
sorry.
in 5 minutes.
All right, we can go back to them. I'll stop that one then. Do you want to go on to votes then?
Sure.
And then you can forget your topics.
I'm just putting cross marks next to everything I always want to talk about.
So, if you've tuned in before, you know how this works. And if you haven't, we give our 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1 vote to the best defenders of the weekend based on the defensive intercept, back half push kind of stuff, or vibes. To a maximum of 10 votes for a player each week. And at the end of the season, the player is hypothetically awarded the Scarlett Silvagni Medal. They could be actually awarded it if they wanted it, but no one has yet. The best chance we had was Tom Barras, and he moved away. So
yeah, he left the state because of us.
He saw the award and he went, not taking that.
No way.
So, you did the intro.
Yeah, so
it's
you do
my
first
1,
vote.
and I pained over my 1. The rest of my 4 were
I think my
close.
4 are pretty standard.
My 1 was Connor O'Sullivan.
Okay.
He had 20 disposals, 11 of which were intercepts, 11 contested. He might have been higher in the votes if he didn't give away that Harley Reid goal by handballing it over Blickstaff's head. 1 is 1 contested defensive 1-on-1, had an 18.8 player rating, and had 7 score involvements and 2 score launches. He kind of realised at one point during the game that West Coast didn't have enough defenders that he needed to be properly accountable, so forwards that he needed to be properly accountable, and he just peeled off. And from that point, he was one of Geelong's best, I thought. I was surprised he missed out on a coach's vote, but if Jeremy Cameron hadn't kicked 4 in the last quarter, maybe O'Sullivan would have snuck in. But,
Maybe.
I thought he was really, really good. And I'll leave off who my would have been 1 was, just in case you put him in.
I think he is my 1 vote.
Yeah.
Ruben Gimby?
He was my,
Yeah, so I've decided on Gimby because we know what Connor O'Sullivan can do.
Yeah.
Ruben Gimby has been a player I've seen in defence and not been convinced. In fact, he played Jeremy Cameron
last
in
year
this...
and got 8 kicked on him.
Yeah. And did Jeremy Cameron kick 5? Yes.
That
Were
was
they
the-
junk time? Yes.
That was the cutoff for me, though. 5 is still a lot of goals.
It's a lot.
But even Jeremy Cameron said post-game...
He said that he has the chocolates or
Yeah.
whatever the hell AFL footballers say instead of saying he was better today. He had a 12.6 rating, 16 disposals, 8 kicks, 6 intercepts. He only had 1 contested loss from 4 one-on-ones, 5 spoils. I think that's a solid game.
I thought he was really good. I saw a lot of his work from really close because we were right on the boundary line. And every time they tried to put it in deep to Cameron, he was either in front of him or putting enough pressure. Cameron's famously not a very good contested mark.
Yeah.
And Jim Beers used that to his advantage. He didn't try and rebound. He didn't try and intercept. He just stuck on him like skin. And for 3 quarters, it really worked.
It's 100% the fixture I looked at last year and went, that just doesn't work. Why they're playing Jinby on Cameron? Go away for 9, 8, 10 months, however many months it's been, and get it right. Now, it sucks. It really sucks because that last quarter did let it down.
Ruined
but
it.
I'm still giving him a vote because...
I'm glad you did because he was so close for me until I waited up a bit more. 2 votes for me this week was to Ben Miller.
Ben Miller is a special mention for me.
Special mention. His stats were kind of irrelevant for me because the most important thing was that he kept Hogan scoreless from 8 disposals. But he had 11 disposals, 5 which were intercepts, 1 3 out of 5 1-on-1s. Cop 1 coach's vote. But yeah, it was mostly the stopping job on Hogan that I thought was super, super impressive. Not even a point. So
my 2 is to Sam Taylor from the same game. Weird that we're just doing opposites here.
Yep, he was also a special mention for
So Sam Taylor, you could probably throw a blanket. You could have picked Jack Buckley.
Yep.
Stats-wise, they were both really good. Taylor was just the one that stood out to me watching. 12.3 rating, only 13 disposals, but 7 intercepts, 8 marks. 2 losses from 8 contests.
Yeah, 11 spoils and 6 out of 8 defensive 1-on-1s.
Yeah, it's a huge game from that perspective. Like, his traditional stats are low, but all the defensive numbers...
Yeah. No, I did have him, obviously, having those numbers there. I had him in a few things I was looking at, so...
Oh, yeah, he'll be in all your highest and whatever.
He for sure will.
3
my
votes,
3
Jack.
votes was to friend of the show, good friend of the show, Jordan Clark.
Yeah, Jordan Clark didn't make it in for me this week.
He had 30 disposals, and unlike him, 10 of those were intercepts this week. So he really was
Picked a player from the same game.
stopping the play rather than just getting the ball, which is normally the thing he gets his touches from. 13 of his disposals were contested. He had 11 rebound 50s and 813 metres gained. He got 9 coaches' votes that game.
He did.
A 17.5 player rating.
It
He was really impressive, especially in the wet. Like I think that was what helped with the intercept game, was that the ball was on the ground a lot more, and his pace really set him apart from a lot of the other players.
I think that is, even though he got the 9 coaches' votes, and I did write his name down in my initial list, the fact that it was a wet game made my admiration for Mac Andrew, who is my 3 votes, same game, opposite team again, more impressive. So he had 13.3 rating, that's whatever.
Also had 11 spoils.
Yeah, 11 spoils, 5 rebounds, 1 loss from 6 contests, which is really good. 8 intercepts, 20 disposals, 6 marks. I thought he had a really, really good game. Redeployed in defence, obviously, due to just the lack of tall defenders at the moment.
Glad he was fit after being in a moon boot most of the week as well.
Yeah, so I thought he had a really good game, and I like Mac Andrew a lot. I think he has good character.
Yeah, me too. I was literally chatting with someone before I got in the shower about how I think dickheads are very important for the game, but on the other side of that, fans of the teams those dickheads are in can't be mad when other people think they're dickheads. Like, that's what they're doing as a player. But yeah, we said last week on the show, like, with Freo and Geelong coming up, Andrew was going to be super important for them. And he was a big part of why they were in that game for so long. So I do agree. My 4 this week was to Mark Keane.
I was going to say, we're going to have to agree
4
eventually.
and 5 have to be the same here, because these two were...
I'll pick a Sydney Swan for 4. I'll change my vote.
Lewis Melican. It's really funny how many Crows fans wanted Mark Keane dropped earlier in the year after a couple of games where he wasn't even that bad. But, he had 23 disposals, 15 were intercepts, which is insane. 5 contested, 10 marks, 8 of those were intercepts. He had 10 spoils, so it was the 3rd highest for the week behind the other 2 we've already mentioned.
The other 2.
4 rebounds, 1 is only 1-on-1, 2 score involvements, 1 launch, 514 metres gained, which is a key defender's not usually your bread and butter. 5 coaches' votes, 15.5 player rating. Awesome game. I'm assuming he was your 4 as well.
He is my 4, yes.
And 5 then I'm assuming also has to be the same.
Yeah. I guess, we'll just go to 5 then. No, actually, we won't. I will just say Adelaide's defence was questionable at the start of the year. They were leaking a lot of points. But I think the combination of Worrell, McElhaney, Keane...
We talked about them a lot last year when they were struggling to have the midfield support to get the ball in there. They were doing a good job. I think that was also a big part of the problem earlier this year. Their midfield mix is no longer just letting the ball get in there so easily. But it is still impressive that such a, no big names backline is doing such a good job consistently. And they've had since those first couple, like it was 100 points, they conceded 3 times in the first 5 games. 90 points.
They just conceded 40 points to
They,
Sydney.
yeah,
at the
barely
SCG.
any, right? Like and also that game immediately after the criticism against GWS, where they just played a real slugged out, 60-point win. They figured out how to change gears.
Yeah.
That was the thing they were missing. So,
Which is something that I wasn't sure that they were capable of, but
Yeah.
hey, more on
happy
that
to
later.
be proven wrong.
No, not happy.
5 votes to Cal Wilkie.
Yes,
in a
I've got
surprise
5 votes to Cal
to
Wilkie.
nobody. His stat sheet reads like a perfect backman's game. He had 31 disposals at 90%. 11 of those were intercepts and 9 contested.
22 kicks.
He had 15 marks. 4 of those were intercepts. He had 7 spoils. He won all 4 of his one-on-ones. He had 5 additional defensive half-pressure acts. He got a perfect 10 coaches' votes.
9 rebound
9
50s as
rebound
well.
50s. 2 score involvements and a score launch. Oh boy, that was a awesome game from him. Not the game itself.
No.
Which was a real slog. Cal Wilkie's having a great year.
Yeah, and the 10 votes is huge at this point in the season between us, so that'll shoot him right up.
Right back into the rate. He had a few already.
Yeah.
Had a few 2s and 3s recently, but a 10 will do it for you.
He's one of those players that is likely to have 4 or 5 games where he does take, 15 that was Mark Keane. 11 intercepts, 20-odd disposals, and just be an absolute wall down there. It looked better when he had Josh Battle with him.
Yeah.
I don't know if Caminiti has the same, working capacity with him, but obviously this can still happen.
Yeah, I thought Wood was really good too. Like they played him as like a defensive wing, and his kicking is amazing. So to have him as that link-up guy was really good for them too. I had 3 special mentions that we haven't mentioned yet, which was Isaac Quainer, Josh Warrior you kind of mentioned in just Adelaide backline, and Stephen May I thought was really good as well.
Well, I've got different ones here.
Oh, yeah,
so
cool.
I thought Darcy Moore was really solid.
Yeah.
Jaden Laverty played a really good
Really
game.
good game.
Weirdly good.
Yeah, his first quarter I was like, oh, Laverty, and then after that I was like, oh, Laverty.
So yeah, that was pretty good from him. Harris Andrew just continues to be Harris Andrews.
Yep.
My how do I feel about this? I'm going to give an honourable mention to Daniel Turner, Disco Turner. His deployment into defence has been interesting.
It's where he's from.
It's where he's from. I don't know what Melbourne... Can Melbourne draft a forward? Aiden Johnson, they're playing in the ruck. Like, what are they doing?
Oh, well, not for the next 3 or 4 weeks.
No.
Dan Turner took a great mark as well, Disco.
He did.
Which was really cool. But yeah, they've got just all these defenders and rucks is their forward line. Like it's either Petty or Turner or Johnson.
If they didn't have Fritsch and Pickett, they wouldn't be able to kick 30 points a game.
And those 2 were quiet, and that was the problem, right? So it is interesting to see where they go from here, because there's not much available on the market at all by the way of keys.
No.
So the only other player I had was Luke Ryan, was the rebound 50s guy this week with 12, but everyone else has already been mentioned. Keane for intercepts and intercept marks, Taylor for one-on-ones, Wilkie for lossless.
Mm-hmm.
They were our guys. So
Yep.
good.
Matched up with the votes this
Nice
week.
match
That's
up.
nice.
And the nice symmetry from 1 through 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So I'll let you do your topics.
Well, I'm going to talk about...
steamrolled you on them.
I'm actually going to talk about something similar, because you did just bring up no forwards being on the market. What I kind of wanted to just talk about was how ridiculous the media landscape has been about contracts and players over the past maybe month, especially.
Yeah.
All year. I've just written down the insanity of gettable and contract talk.
It's wild. It's so unnecessary.
I feel like getting a weekly update on what TDK and Nasiah Wanganeen Miller are doing is insane.
Yeah.
And I just can't even...
And you can't even escape it on like AFL Daily or anything.
No.
Like, it's just always like, I don't know if you heard earlier in the week, this person's like, I don't care.
You can't escape it on First Crack, which
No.
used to just be about
Which used
analysis,
to-
and now Jay Clark is there being like, and what about this guy's contract? Because that's his job. It just feels insane. And obviously, the bye week makes it difficult. They couldn't talk about Carlton losing, so they were like, what if we trade every single Carlton player? And what could they get for them?
That was my like reaction about like the you saw it about Walsh being like, I've jokingly been like,
Yeah.
come back to Geelong, Walsh. And then this week I saw it, I was like, What? No, why?
And even in the gettable, they said very unlikely to leave, but clubs want him.
Yeah.
Like, of course they do.
He's won a Gary Ayres award.
And it's all clubs too. Like talking about the ruck merry-go-round as well is so boring. Every week it's the same 4 players. It's like
linked to the same number of clubs.
Yeah, it's
so tedious.
And like I get it. We're starving for AFL content in the postseason, and that's why trade radio gets its listens.
That's fine.
And it's 8 hours of people talking nonsense. That's when I want to hear this.
At work, and he just like got it in my iPhone.
Right now, this time should be spent on analysis. What's next for the team next week?
And that's why I'm trying to make sure every week I'm writing something for This Week in Football, because there's so little of that kind of stuff out there. And like I appreciate the small number that do. I think Michael Whiting usually does a really good job for that kind of stuff. But there's so little of it. That is the problem.
And that's why I think it's really funny, following on from that there are 4 umpires considering suing 3 of the personalities from Channel 7 for their comments about them.
Didn't write this one down, and I was going to write it down and preface it with, like, I know we try and avoid talking about other panel show bullshit, because that is the current media landscape. This one's a little bit different in the sense that, like, it's very funny.
It is, and I feel like the urge and want to get the clicks and go with the story straight away has really backfired for them here. Because if you do actually, speak to people and do the proper research, you won't have issues like this. And it couldn't have happened to 3 nicer people being Dale Thomas, is it Luke Hodge and Kane Corns? Yeah. Sure, it'll go away. Yeah. It's not going to be a thing. It's whatever. But I do find it funny that they're like, oh shit, consequences?
Oh no! Well, I can't just say whatever I want about the people who actually exist and have livelihoods and jobs.
Next week, Kane Corns will call Bevo a slur, and we'll be back to normal. So it's just it's frustrating.
People were trying to call Bevo out for that, by the way, a few weeks ago when Bevo was just walking past doing his job, and Corns tried to say something to him, and I was like,
Corns does have a cult.
He really does.
And that's fine. If you want to be on that side, that's your choice.
Well, if Bevo was just walking past, there was no need for any interaction there.
I appreciate Kane Corns in a way. He's always saying something that makes me shake my head, or makes me like have a discussion with you during the week.
As I said, Alex Pearce was talking about this earlier in the year. Where like he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
It's clearly intentional.
Yeah.
What he wants is content.
And he's ramped it up this year.
Yeah.
In particular.
Because it's Channel 7 now, and that's
what
they've hired him to do. Even though numbers on Channel 7 are plummeting.
Dwayne Johnson.
Dwayne
Russell being hired just to be positive on
Dwayne's lists are my favourite thing. They are the most all vibes, no reason lists you'll ever see. Anytime I see a Dwayne list, I go, yeah, why
I think
not?
He's got the best content.
Like when he does the like best wins and best worst losses, I'm like, how is this?
Just the people that call into his show too, just to have a yarn.
You call, you get on. He's my hero. The longer I used to not be a Dwayne fan.
Yep.
And
I think you'll find when we started this podcast, we hated the
2 to 4
sound
years,
of his voice.
He has grown on me so much.
Yep.
He just loves football. He loves football people. And he's a big goober. Like, he drinks, 3 Cokes and a Red Bull, and then a 2-litre bottle of milk. And a block of dairy milk chocolate.
My tummy would be on fire.
Oh, my God.
You have to run from the box when you're
I'm doing champion data. If I have a big Red Bull, I'm sprinting to the toilet.
I don't know what he's doing.
Oh, incredible.
Man doing his
kegels. There's not enough time in the breaks to go, you know what I mean? Anyway, I respect the Dwayne Pipe's bladder control. Yeah.
And I guess transfer into Laura Kane.
Yeah.
We have been incredibly critical of Laura Kane on this podcast. I kind of feel bad for her.
Yeah.
now.
She built the platform at North, pushing for the women's team to come into the competition. Yep. And then that almost felt undermined by shortly after she achieved that, everyone got a team.
Yeah.
But then, because of her success in that campaign, and the AFL saw that she had that drive and tenacity, and they brought her into AFL House at the same time as Scott left, and they were like, "Well, here's a new spot." Mm-hmm. But at the age, she's barely older than us.
She's 33,
which means that when she went into the role, she
34?
wasn't older
34.
than us.
Sorry.
And she was given basically 2 portfolios at the same time. Plus, the AFLW portfolio had tripled in size, and there's very little hope for her to succeed. But at every turn, it was a cocker.
Yeah, and every time there was a disaster, she would come out and say more
Deny
things
the disaster.
or deny it,
Yeah.
or just exacerbate the situation and make it worse.
Like the umpiring is the clearest example.
Yeah.
The umpires clearly felt very disenfranchised about that. The clubs are all complaining about the soft cap as well, and that also sits in that same department. And I don't think it's a coincidence that after the AFL has caught up with 10 senior coaches in the space of 2 weeks, Laura Kane has been pushed to a smaller amount of responsibility, and they've brought in 2 additional people
She's been
to
removed
cover that
from
load.
the soft cap.
So like, and I yeah, as you said the other day, I doubt they're sharing her salary between
No.
these 2 that are coming in. It's confirmed that it's going to be what's his name, Greg Swan from
Greg
the Lions,
Swan, it looks like
and
Tom
rumoured
Harley.
that Tom Harley's going to come in as well.
Which, I mean, if you're going to pick 2
who are
guys...
2 of the most respected
Yeah.
CEOs in the league, makes sense.
That's the kind of thing you need to
outside
do
of Brendan
when...
Gale, who's now going, oh no, my Tasmania.
Yeah, well, he should have taken an
he should-
AFL job,
He should
huh?
have. But like, outside of him, they're the 2 that I think are the most respected league-wide. It's pretty confirmed that all the clubs are pretty happy with Greg Swan.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping it's a positive change, but it really does feel like at a lot of times Laura Kane was just hung out to dry.
Yeah.
But also that she was just underprepared for that role.
I feel like the amount of times that she came out into the media and was just saying the game's in a better state than it's ever been. We're so happy with how the game is, and at the same time, everything's falling apart. Clubs don't even know whether they can use their picks to pick father-sons yet. Like, everything was a shambles.
And like they're bringing in things like the mid-season trading is just coming in next year. Like things.
It looks like Gold Coast are going to hold that one up for as long as possible.
Yeah.
So that's probably not going to come in.
At least it's only for picks. But if you're trading a mid-season pick for a real pick, you're insane.
Oh, sorry, yes. Mid-season draft picks.
The
you'll be able
mid-season
to
trade I don't think you can do because it so favours the Victorian teams.
Yeah, Gold Coast have basically said no
Freo
unless
and West
we
Coast
get
have-
extra allowance for players
Freo
to
and
move
West
up
Coast have
here.
said the same thing too, basically. They're like, you're not doing it. Because imagine, like, WA players would go home to Melbourne. You're not bringing someone over mid-year. It's a big one.
So yeah, that's most of what we wanted to talk about. Tasmania's done. Well, not done, but they're almost done. Laura Kane, gettable.
I kind of
Anything you
touched
got?
on it, but Melbourne with the home games.
Oy.
So at Melbourne, I'm begging you to stop selling home games to Traeger Park. I love watching games in Alice Springs because it is the most beautiful oval in football to look at.
Looks very nice.
You've got the cliffs in the background. You've got that big tree overhanging the ground. They've now lost their last 3 in a row there. They have only won 4 of their 11 games since they started playing there in 2014. If you compare that to the Bulldogs, who are 10-4 in Ballarat, Gold Coast, who are 8-2 and now 8 in a row in Darwin, Hawks have won their last 7 in Launceston and 12 of their last 15.
Yeah.
That's a good sold home game. And that's one where you're like, I'm happy to sell this because I win here because I'm the only team that knows how to play here.
Yeah.
Versus Melbourne losing more than they win by a fair margin. The only times they won there was when they couldn't lose just about in 2020 and 2021.
Yeah.
21-22. Outside of that, they have barely won there. I think you just got to let that go. Right?
It depends on how good the money is. Are you willing to lose 1 game a season to keep your club afloat?
Yeah, but then how do them, you lose an extra game a season is the difference between making the 8 or not, or top 4
Yeah,
or
I
not.
mean, judging by their trajectory, maybe.
Not is maybe the answer. But yeah,
We're
Anyway.
so confidently Melbourne's back, and then they lost to St Kilda.
That's all right. They
in
lost
fucking
1
Alice
game.
Springs.
It's all good. They lost 1 game. And they lost to Cheetah West there a few years ago, and then if they didn't bail out of finals in 2 games, they should have won. They, were one of the best teams in the comp that year. So,
Yeah.
and Collingwood fans all took offence to Stephen May slightly drunkenly saying that at their best and fairest.
I still rate that. Like,
It was funny. Yeah, he was
let the
right.
man have some
That's how you're
emotion.
supposed to feel. You're supposed to think you're the best team in the comp. Game of the week next week. I think there's a few. I think almost all of them are hard.
I
to
wrote
pick.
down not having to watch St Kilda. That's game of the week. No, that's mean. I don't think it will be. I've written down Western Bulldogs Hawthorn. If Hawthorn show up, maybe.
Right up there for me.
but-
Hawthorn have to come out angry. They beat the Bulldogs last year twice, I think. I think Bulldogs consider them a bogey team, but twice when I think the Bulldogs were the better team last year, Hawks won. I have Geelong Gold Coast down just because
That's the number 1.
Huge game.
Gold Coast obviously beat Geelong up top last year. They need to win this for their cred.
Yep.
They need to win it for their spot, potential top 4.
It's a top 2, top 4 game.
Yeah,
right.
right. They're playing against their competitors. Winning in Geelong at GMHBA would be huge for that
Neither
group.
they or Dimmer have ever done it.
Yeah.
and that's massive. I think for credentials for both teams, it's a huge game. Like the winner of that.
I feel like less so for Geelong. I feel like there's so much baggage that if Gold Coast lose it, you go.
I agree,
yeah, okay.
but I think Geelong have an easy enough draw from here that there's a very good chance they'll still finish top 4 if they lose this game. But I think to be considered like the real deal, they want to be winning it.
Yeah, win every game.
North West Coast could be really interesting down at Hands Oval in Bunbury.
Yeah, I really like that game because
if North lose it,
yeah,
crazy behaviour.
I would love my club to sell 2 home games to come play
Oh,
here.
me too.
I was talking to you about bringing in a third WA team so we could do a round robin.
Yeah.
Get one Vic team over.
Could you go to 3 in a row? Be
3 in a
amazing.
row? How good would that be? I was talking to one of my Collingwood supporting friends and he said, I'd love that.
I'm
Collingwood don't travel, that'd be their whole season.
I'm going down to Hands Oval in a few weeks' time for the Matildas game. So it'll be interesting to see because it's obviously been recently redeveloped and that's why they're playing way more games there now.
Yeah.
But it's one of those ones where I get North trying to figure something out that's not Tasmania, even though maybe Tasmania's not even coming in anymore now, so it puts a spanner in it. But for a team that's needs wins for their fans, it's
best to sell those games to West Coast.
But they're also playing a home game against Freo at Optus next week.
But would you rather Sydney and GWS, or would you rather Brisbane and
you're right.
Gold Coast, or would you rather Adelaide and Port?
It's probably the best option.
Of the 4 options, it's probably the best. Sorry, Fremantle fans. Your team is going really well at the moment. It's just...
Yeah, we know what you can do sometimes.
I wouldn't want to play Adelaide and Adelaide right now.
God no. Or anywhere. Christ. And then Melbourne Collingwood, King's birthday now game is always weird for some reason. So I think it'll be fun to see how that goes. We've got a big freeze as well. Please make bigger beanies, big freeze. That would be
seriously,
really
our
nice.
heads
I
too
own
big.
one. I can't wear it. It's so tight.
I want to wear one.
It's my one request.
Make a XL big freeze beanie.
I think Adelaide Brisbane's my game.
Is there a Roman numeral? Can we get XL and they're just... Is that possible?
Yeah.
No, I don't think
that'd
so.
be like a lot of numbers. That's way too many.
Has to be the other way around,
Yeah.
right? Nah, it's a shame.
Adelaide Brisbane's my game of the round, I think.
Okay, that's fair.
Just because Brisbane had a huge win against Port and Adelaide last year that kind of changed the trajectory of Port's season. They really got their shit together after that game. But it also was like, Brisbane's back. That was the game when everyone kind of... we were saying it the whole time, but everyone kind of went, they're right back in contention here. So they're obviously not scared of the ground.
I still really rate Brisbane.
Me too. Me too. I think they've been doing what they need to do lately.
It's whether they can ramp up in those final 6 weeks of the season,
absolutely.
Right?
And we saw what they did to Hawthorn a few weeks ago when they needed to do more than just what they were doing.
Actually, I wonder what their draw for those last 6 games is. I wonder if it's...
have a squiz.
I'm going to have a look.
Do I have anything else written down this week that I haven't talked about yet?
We'll do stocks up, stocks down.
Yeah, I've got stocks up, stocks down.
It's a pretty big last 6 weeks for them.
They've got Geelong and Geelong there, don't they, somewhere?
No, it
was that
must
before?
be before. So they've got Bulldogs at the Gabba, Gold Coast at People First, Collingwood at the MCG, Sydney at the Gabba, Fremantle at Optus, Hawthorn at the Gabba. So it's 5 teams that we are expecting to be in contention, depending on what happens with Hawthorn.
Yep.
And then Sydney at home. So if they're in good form during those and win those, huge.
Yes, massive. I still have faith. I still have them finishing top 4. I think they're a great game. Just a shame Coleman's back out for another 4 to 6.
Yeah.
But I think, leave him until that back 6, really. Just leave him until you need...
Obviously, he would be an improvement, but with the way their backline is working at the moment, with Wilmot and Zorko still kicking
Fletcher
at
playing wing and
312, I think it's fine.
Payne's in amazing form. Harris Andrews is still the best fullback in the competition, in my opinion.
Froggy Lester. Don't
and
forget
Froggy
Mo.
Lester. We love Mo. We've loved Mo here for so long. It's crazy that he's good now. It's like Lewis Melican, but the other way around.
Yeah.
I was like, Lewis Melican, Sydney, what are you doing? And then suddenly I'm like, Lewis Melican.
It's a shame because he's still pretty good, but they're just not playing well.
Yeah, and he's missed a few games through both injury and trying to kill a person. Stocks up, stocks down. Do you want to do stocks up first?
I'll do stocks up. I got my stocks up.
All right.
It pains me to admit it, but I have to finally buy into Adelaide.
Yeah.
I think they're good.
I might have to agree.
Early in the season, obviously, we had our doubts defensively. I wasn't sure about their use of Jordan Dawson. They've sorted that out. And they look dangerous all over the park.
I agree. They look very, very good. Their midfield's terrifying
Yeah.
for starters. Having Rochelle and Rankin is unfair, I think.
Yeah.
Like the things they can both do up forward. That Rochelle soccer is
it's awesome.
the assist of all time.
Yeah.
He put that out in front of Keys, and Keys barely had to break stride.
It was perfectly placed.
The Myers cross to Henry in the prelim last year was pretty good too. But
Myers just does different
Myers
shit.
is a
bro.
freak. Rochelle is great.
Was it 2023 the year they missed out because of the disallowed goal?
Yeah, the Sydney one.
So that year, everyone was hyping them up the whole year, and I just thought they're just at the moment and also around. They didn't make the finals, obviously, which they should have.
2023 Adelaide was 2024 Gold Coast.
And then 2024, everyone said, well, they're going to be angry. They're going to be hunting, and it just didn't happen.
Yep.
This is what people have been talking about for 2 years. It's there.
I'm seeing it now. But also, we're seeing Phil Thorpe and Fogarty play consecutive games together.
Yeah, whereas Fogarty was less consistent, and I can't fucking say his name.
Injured all
Phil
the time.
Thorpe was injured all the
But
time.
when they're out there together, it's a totally different thing because if one doesn't get you, the other often will.
Yeah. And that just allows Tex Walker to just do whatever he wants, really.
And playing as a third.
And they all play well together, seeing footage from behind goals.
And then you get goals from Keys and Rochelle and Rankin on top of that.
Dawson can pop forward and kick forward.
Dawson's averaging almost a goal a game at the moment. They're a very dangerous attacking team. But we knew that, and now the defence is shored up.
Yep.
And they're defending in the middle, which was the thing that was the problem before.
Are they? I don't know. I
ball's
didn't
not-
quite look at Fox Footy's premiership window. They're right in there at the moment, aren't they? So
They're they were letting the ball out the back of the middle way too easily, and now they're not. So it's scary. My stocks up is Fremantle, and I shouldn't have sold. I sold in round 6. My strength wavered. I jumped off, but they're back. I think they had a great game against a weak Port side a couple of weeks ago. I said how impressed I was with their ball movement in that game. I was like, I know the opposition wasn't fantastic, but they weren't playing like the boring Fremantle was earlier in the year. They were handballing forward. They were putting it out in front of players, allowing Bolton and Sarong and these players to play to their strengths. And then they did that to the Suns. It was in the wet, so they had to do the same game plan in a totally different condition, and it worked again. Like the fast ball movement out the front. Bolton was insane against the Suns. So
personally, I don't
back
know
on.
if I can buy in because next week Brayshaw and Sarong might have 12 disposals between them, and it'll be all back to normal.
Look, sure, but I'm on again because I was on pre-season. That's the difference. Also, the Jackson Darcy combo was bizarre, and I loved it.
Isn't it like 3/4 time Darcy had one disposal or something?
Yeah, playing them both in the middle. Like Jackson's playing off a wing, running straight into centre bounce. He took centre bounce attendances as a rover at different times.
Which is what they wanted to do, what they said when they were going to bring him across.
And it worked for once. We'll see how it works against a team that's not playing two very slow rucks.
Oh, yeah.
Also, Moyle and Witts are both good rucks, but slow rucks.
Yeah.
So that was a difference. Who's your stocks down?
Stocks down is not a team or a person, but a place.
A place.
Which is the SCG as a fortress.
Oh, yeah.
So this year alone, Sydney have lost to Hawthorn in opening round. They lost to Port. They squeaked out a win against Carlton through the efforts of 2 players alone.
Yep.
And they obviously just got dominated by Adelaide. I don't think clubs are as scared of going there anymore.
It's also got the worst camera angles in footy.
Totally unrelated to what I'm saying, but yes, they're horrible. The zoom in.
It's always so close, and then they'll do a pan to, a pocket shot for no reason. I'm very zoom out dickheads all the time, but at the SCG especially.
It's edited like a horrible Michael Bay action sequence.
You ever see a VFL game at the SCG?
No.
They put the cameras on the other wing.
Oh.
It's it's like a forbidden angle. You see all the other side, and you're like, oh, it's not the SCG that I've ever seen in my life. But yeah, one, I agree. It's no longer the fortress it once was, because it really was.
Yeah.
And 2, the camera angles suck.
Yeah, sure. Stocks down, get better camera angles.
My stocks down is Hawthorn's bits and pieces forward line.
Yeah.
We know they've been looking at Oscar Allen a lot. I
still think if he's going, Brisbane are the ones that take him.
Yeah, I agree. And I think then, if they can't, Brisbane should then take Mitch Lewis from Hawthorn and try and fix him the way they did Danaher. But with their current side, they need something because Chol's good, but they're relying on playing Hardwick, Sicily, Weddle, and even Battle as the other forward with Chol, and then a 103-year-old Gunston who just can't do it.
Who is doing well,
in the bigger high pressure moments because his body's just not the same. Of course he can't. And I think they're really being found out with that bits and pieces forward line.
And it's because ultimately with Gunston's age, you want him to be the third tall target.
Yes. Or even
Chol is the third tall target
player. Yeah.
And then if you're swinging players like Sicily and Battle through, they should not be your main.
Yeah.
It's a position where obviously Cal Shadir came in for a game, wasn't great.
Yep.
And Mitch Lewis is
just on his way back from injury again, but we'll see how that goes.
I feel like we're saying that every 6 weeks on this podcast.
Yeah. I think he's playing VFL this week. So
that's good, because
they need him.
really like Mitch Lewis too.
When he's on the park, he's got it. Like when you watch it, you're like, oh, it's there.
Yeah. And that would be huge for them, because they do have the smalls to back it up.
I didn't stock up it here, but as a side note on the same park is I watched Jonty Fall play for Richmond. And I'm like, I think he's going to be a genuine forward. Like
it's such a fun name. I would like it to work.
That too, yeah. Jonty and Fall, both parts.
Yeah.
But he really he crashes the packs right. He reads the play well. And he's played 8 games, so they unfortunately might have another one there. They seem to have drafted really well from what we've seen of their draftees.
Oh yeah, it's totally related from stocks up, stocks down. Did you see that Essendon are on their way to a 50-year high? They've currently debuted 7 players.
Yeah.
Soon to be 8 and could be up to 10.
Sean put a breakdown of draftees to a certain point of the year. Richmond and Essendon are neck and neck right now.
I think they're on 7 each.
So we just got to wait for Smiley to come through for Richmond.
Yeah, but it looks like
Essendon's going to keep doing more.
It looks like 3 of those mid-season
Essendon
draftees
have no choice though. That's the problem. They just keep copping injuries, and they
season injuries.
You keep expecting them to lose by 10 goals, and they lose by 3, and you're like,
I think the dam will break eventually.
It has to.
But they are, through the effort of their midfield, which is their
massively
line that's not damaged
at
all. And I think Parrish is on his way back as well.
Crazy to see Angus Clark debuts at full forward and then
plays
through
defence
necessity
the next week.
Was on the wing and half back the next week. And they're just pulling.
I think that is his natural position.
I think he's a defender. Yeah. But he looked good up forward.
Yeah. So stocks down again. Essendon medical team.
Rip.
Although they're unlucky injuries.
So many unlucky ones, other than Parrish and Ridley, who you just go,
Ridley is
whatever.
That's normal.
The rest of them, you can't do anything about what's happened there. Before we go into the other one I've asked you to do.
Yeah, I was going to say, when are we getting to the bit?
Give me 5 locks for the All-Australian team if it was called now.
Oh, Bailey Smith's a lock.
All right.
I personally, if I'm calling it right now, I think the fullback is Cal Wilkie.
Yep.
I would absolutely be locking in Daniel Rioli at this point.
Yep.
Probably not featuring as much on this show, but I think he's a lock. Right now, Jeremy Cameron's the full forward.
Yep.
And I'm locking in Hugh McCluggage on the bench.
Nice. A couple of those are ones that I thought about putting in my 5. I said Max Gawn.
Oh, obviously, yeah.
Jeremy Cameron.
Yeah.
Because at the moment, how can you not? He's kicked 20 goals in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Matt Rowell.
That's a good choice.
As my centre, off the bat. Wangani Miller off half back. And Ed Richards in the middle.
Yeah, I think the problem this year is there's no standout small defender, so that back line is definitely going to look like 3 talls and 3 running defenders.
Yeah. But yeah, I think Wangani Miller he's so good at the moment.
Yeah.
Every week he's in St Kilda's top 3 players.
Yeah.
Again, if you're going to offer money to lots of people, just give it all to Wangani Miller and get him to stay. He lives with the 2 academy kids as well.
Yeah.
They're your core. Those 3. Him, Windiger, and Owens. That's your future.
And I don't want to get back onto contract talk too much, but I did read today that St Kilda said no matter what offer they put up, they will match. So either that way they will get an insane trade for Wangani Miller, because he's possibly one of the best halfbacks in the league.
Yep.
And a good age. Or he'll stay.
Despite not loving mid-year trade talk, I did enjoy what Ross said the other day in that interview when someone asked him about it. He was like, I'll just go tell him to sign, shall I? I'll just duck back and I'll... and just being what do you want us to do? We just have to let it play out.
Yeah.
He's like, I can't control. We're all adults here, right? We're all big boys,
It's his decision. I don't have to answer to it. That's what,
Yeah. I gave you a task today.
And I hope you've done it too, because if
I didn't. I just let you do it, because I thought you'd have more fun with this than me. I did all the rest of this writing stuff. I'm doing all the segments.
You don't have...
It's your turn today. I don't have any. No, I didn't. This is all you.
Well, this is lame now.
No, it's better.
Okay, what's the bit?
So the bit is, I tasked Alastair during the day today, because I was writing my bit for This Week in Football.
I was so swamped at work, and I was scrolling through a list of every AFL player. I thought you were doing it too.
I'll do it next week then. Anyway, I tasked Alastair with picking 5 players and giving them goal songs. Like, goal songs he wants those players to have. It's...
This is cruel. This is like a Taskmaster bit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I didn't mean it like that. I just I was too busy going.
I've done it.
I was too busy going. Connor Iden has 59 marks from kick-ins since the start of last year. That's insane.
Oh, I was drowning at work.
Anyway, for the rest of those numbers,
Sure. Well, I did do it. I've written down 5
Right.
players and goal songs that I think would either be funny, considering who they are, great, considering crowd participation, or just funny in general. So the first player I've picked is Bailey Smith.
Yep, I thought he might be in there.
He's in there. And there were so many songs I was looking at, but I've settled on Semi-Charmed Life by Third Eye
That's
Blind.
so funny.
Because of the very specific line in the verse, which I will not repeat here, but if you're a Semi-Charmed Life person and you know who Bailey Smith is, you'll figure it out.
I like that. That's good. And like that's a both one. Like it's funny because
And it's a
funny,
great song.
But the crowd was singing along with that for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
I picked Dion Prestia
Meatball.
because I feel like if you had on top of spaghetti, the crowd would the crowd would really love that.
Yeah, okay.
And I just imagining a 34-year-old Meatball kicking a goal, and then the whole crowd in arms singing together with that. So I think that one works.
In Italian round. We'll do it in Italian
Do it
round.
in Italian round.
Okay, who was number 3?
I'm moving my 3 to the bottom because I think it's the funniest one.
Yep.
Pat Voss gets a goal song.
Okay, what is it? Because I was about to say...
You might have your own, but I immediately thought of the dance song Arnold by Luke Million, which is just the up, down, more energy,
More
and
power,
the crowd,
more power.
the crowd singing that
So good.
as everyone's going back to the center and he's just puffing his chest out. I would love that. Not only because I think that song's a banger, but I think it would be fun.
I don't know if you saw the edit that
I haven't.
friend of the show, Mimi Birch, did last week, but it's shipping up to Boston, but shipping up to Boston. And it was just a
terrible.
fan cam of Patrick Voss, crashing packs and strutting around.
I think
His
he's-
strut
I
is
think
my...
he's popping it out on purpose. for the
He does,
camera.
yeah. When he lays a tackle, it's like the knees come up higher and the chest is out. He loves it. It's great. He's a weird man.
I was truly running out of ones because I was trying to do work at the same time.
Yeah, so this was technically your 5th one. You're right.
This is by taking my 5th one I threw together, which is recent debutant for Carlton, Harry O'Farrell,
Yep.
whose father is the lawyer for Carlton, and I put down I Fought the Law by The Clash, because that would be good.
That's very good.
Solid.
Yep.
And my number 1 favourite was Todd Goldstein, and the song is Thinking of You by Ed Sheeran, which is the one that starts with When Your Legs Don't Work Like They Used to Before.
That's good.
As
That's
he's
really
walking
good.
away in shambles because he's 37
Yeah.
and asked to play repeat games over and over for Essendon. He deserves to be celebrated with a
That's
nice
good.
Ed Sheeran jaunt.
You could do this thing called Love for the Wizard because it's kind of magic bit would be.
I was
the
looking at
crowd.
songs for Nick Watson. I can't remember which teams have songs and which don't.
And I would really love for like just any fast wingman to have Junior Senior Can't Stop. That would be fun.
Yeah, I went more for comedy than accuracy. I would just like to hear songs that the crowd sing along to.
Yeah,
really.
that aren't Sweet Caroline.
Yeah, or Country Roads, which
I
is
really
still
like
good.
Kai
But
Loman, but
DJ Otzi, that's a good one.
it's a great one.
Brisbane have some bangers
Zach
in
Bailey
there.
nailed that.
And I
I
feel
also
like
really like Zach Bailey as a footballer.
I feel like because they are such approved choices, like it feels a bit sterile.
Well, unless you're George Wardlaw. And
I think they're still getting approved.
Yeah, I
there's
still
nothing
like it.
controversial about
No.
it. But yeah, I do want some more cult classics in there.
Yeah.
Like we said the other week, Mbop is
Thanks
a
to
really
the Memories
great
would
choice.
go really hard.
Yeah, I feel like, and we're getting to that point where songs like those. We're older than most players.
And
Jack.
I know footballers have like a warped perception of what old is because like their oldest co-worker is 35.
Yeah.
But they were at North social media doing the like what year is like old, and they said like 1999 or older, and I was like, that's okay, sure.
You can't see it, but I physically reacted to that.
I see that stuff and I'm like, yeah, all right.
Yeah.
How do you do, fellow kids?
Yeah, it was like me on one hand going, Laura Kane's 34. Wow, she's so young. Like, that's insane that she got put into that position. And then on the other hand, I'm like...
The oldest footballer. Yeah, it is a strange one. I was saying to someone the other day, I was like, when Brody retires is the day I'll feel old.
Yeah.
Like, that's when I'll be like,
Uh-oh.
it's good. Like, that's like, I'm now like growing up with someone who's like 9 months older than me, playing all of my football alongside him. When he's retired, that's like the one where I'm like, oh, that's like my benchmark is gone from football. So
it's terrifying, like, and you might feel this way as well, like when you see players playing that are younger than like your nephews and nieces, and you go, hold on, what the fuck is happening here?
Yeah.
They're children to me, but
There's players
my nephew's 21 this year. Like, what?
More than half of the league was born post 9/11.
I hate that too.
Like, that's insane.
Or at least
That's wild.
I wonder if you
St Kilda haven't won a flag since before the towers were built.
AFL media, what's a more important event in history, 9/11 or Fortnite's release? I wonder how the players...
Oh, for the AFL players, Fortnite for sure. The amount they play it, Christ. I'd love to get they should do a real league-wide poll. Next time they do like the AFL players stuff. They should just like see how many players are Fortnite guys and how many are Call of Duty guys. Because I think that's the divide. I know the Australian cricket team are Call of Duty guys.
Yeah.
And they make Pat Cummins play because it's the only thing he's bad at.
It's so funny. I watched that clip
He's
several
such
times.
a daggy dad trying to play video games. It's so good. And the boys just giggling at him. Good stuff.
Yeah, but it does... I do forget that the average person just plays one or two shooters and they move on.
And that's just their game.
And I can't even remember the last time I played a
Imagine
shooter.
you're like the one Destiny guy at your football club. You're like, everyone else is playing.
loser.
Everyone else is playing
Yeah.
like Fortnite or Call of Duty, and you're just like, oh, who wants to play Destiny? They're like, fucking no one. Get out of here. Meanwhile, Jack Gunston's like, I want to play Doom, original Doom.
I think Jack Gunston might still have his original Super Nintendo plugged in, honestly.
Maybe. Yeah. That's because you turn it off and lose the save. It's just plugged in.
You've reached the back end of the podcast. We were talking about the Super Nintendo.
Yeah, well, the one within touching distance. So
No, it's not. Oh, it is actually. I was looking at the PlayStation.
no.
They're just grey blocks, man.
Yeah, they're all grey blocks. Anyway, that's us for another week. Same.
Tell us what you prefer. Do you prefer the podcasts where I have no preparation and it's just absolute mind blur vomit, or do you prefer it when we come prepared and it's very normal?
It's very structured.
Yeah.
And then we get to the end and we've gone, we've reached the stuff we've written down, and we've rambled for 25 minutes.
Yeah.
Anyway. Yeah, and then this week in football probably out on Friday this week because everyone's been flat stick. I don't think
Friday this week?
Yeah.
In football?
This week in football,
Crazy.
but this Friday instead of this Thursday.
You wouldn't read about it.
I hope you do read about it. But yeah, sometimes it's late, and hopefully no one's writing about the Bulldogs or Hawthorn. Otherwise, the numbers will be wrong. So that's fine. Anyway, thanks for joining us as always on the Back Pocket. We will see you next week.
Next week. Bye.